When people hear that Kai Cenat hasn't been streaming as much lately, the first reaction is always dramatic. He quit or he fell off. Something bad happened, but the reality is way deeper and honestly way more mature than most people think. Kai didn't just randomly disappear. He didn't get cancelled into oblivion, and he didn't lose passion overnight. What actually happening is something that almost every creative person goes through at some point. Growth. Real growth. The kind that forces you to step away from what made you famous so you can figure it out who you are outside of it. For years, Kai has been operating at a level that most streamers will never experience. We'll talk about record-breaking subathons, celebrity gets millions of live viewers, viral clips every single week, and non-stop energy. Streaming for him isn't just turning on a camera and playing a game. It's performing, it's hosting, it's entertaining at maximum intensity for hours and hours at a time. And when you do that every day for years, eventually you hit a point where you have to ask yourself a serious question. Who am I? And when this stream is gonna off? Like, when am I gonna stop this? That's where this recent break really begins. Instead of publicly announcing a dramatic retirement, Kai started slowing down. He became less consistent, he wasn't live as often, and instead of replacing those streams with more hype content somewhere else, he did something unexpected. He got quieter. Not because he had nothing going on, but because he was building something behind the scenes. One of the biggest parts of this break has been working on himself. And that phrase gets thrown around a lot online, but in Kai's case, it's actually visible. He's talking about wanting mental clarity, wanting discipline, wanting structure outside of the internet fame. When you became famous like a young yeg, especially in streaming, your whole identity gets tied to numbers, views, subscribers, trends, reactions. It's addictive, but it's also fragile. If your happiness depends on how many people are watching you, you're always one bad month away from feeling lost. So instead of letting burnout hit him publicly, he stepped back privately. Another major part of this chapter is his trip to Italy, and this wasn't just a luxury vacation for Instagram pictures. Italy is one of the global centers of fashion craftsmanship. The country is known for high-end design, textile production, and legacy fashion houses that focus on detail and quality. Kai went there to learn, not to take selfies, but to understand how products are actually made. That detail matters. A lot of influencers start brands by slapping their logo on pre-made hoodies and calling it a day. But Kai wanted something different. He wanted ownership. He wanted knowledge. He wanted to understand fabrics, cuts, stitching, production timelines, creative direction. The entire process from idea to physical product. Traveling to Italy symbolized that shift. It showed me he wasn't just trying to cash in one on his name. He was trying to build something sustainable. That's where his brand Viet comes into the conversation. Vivet isn't just merch, it's positioned more like a lifestyle and creative and identity brand. The name itself is rooted in the idea of life and growth, the idea that something will live. And that concept connects directly to the stage he's in right now. Instead of not only being known as a Twitch personally on Twitch, he's building something that can exist whether he streams daily or not. That's a big move. Streaming careers can be unpredictable. Algorithms change, audiences shift, platforms evolve, but ownership, real ownership, gives longevity. By studying fashion in Italy and focusing on design, Kai's expanding beyond reaction-based content into creation-based business. That's the difference between short-term hype and long-term vision. During this time, he's also showed a different side of himself. Less screaming, less chaotic energy, more reflection, more planning. There have been glimpses of workouts, journaling, late-night thoughts, creative brainstorming sessions. It feels less like performance and more like development. And that shift can confuse fans who only expect a loud, funny, non-stop version of him. But that loud version doesn't disappear. It just can run 24/7 forever. Another thing that people don't realize is how heavy being number one can feel. When you reach the top of streaming, every move becomes magnified. If you miss a day, people speculate. If you stream less, people assume you're quitting. If you try something new, people say you changed. The pressure builds quietly. And sometimes the healthiest move isn't pushing harder, it's stepping back. Kai choosing to travel, learn, and build instead of constantly chasing live numbers show maturity. It shows that he understands hype cycles. He knows he can turn the camera on and go viral, but he's asking a bigger question now. What do I want my legacy to be? Because there's a huge difference between being famous and being established. And working on yourself doesn't always look exciting. It looks like saying not to easy money. It looks like skipping a stream to sketch ideas. It looks like flying overseas to sit in design studios instead of trending on Twitter. It looks like discipline when no one is clapping for you live. There's also a mental health flavor here. Streaming at this scale means constant stimulation. Notifications, group chats, management calls, fan expectation, viral moments, drama cycles. At some point, your brain needs quiet. Creativity needs boredom sometimes. Growth needs space. By stepping away temporarily, Kai is protecting his creativity instead of draining it. What's interesting is that this break might actually make his eventual returns even bigger. Scarcity builds anticipation. When someone streams every single day, it becomes routine. When someone disappears to a level and then comes back with a new mindset, new look, no brand new focus, that is a moment. And he knows that. This doesn't feel like someone running away from streaming, it just feels like someone within their lane. Streaming will probably always be part of his identity, but it may not be the only pillar anymore. Fashion, business, creative direction, personal discipline, those are two pillar twos. The Italy trip especially symbolizes elevation. Italy represents craftsmanship, legacy, art, and intentional design. By placing himself into that environment, he significantly that he wants his next chapter to be intentional, not random, not rushed. And fans need to understand something important. Evolution can feel uncomfortable to watch in real time. When you discover creating their world non-stop phase, you get attached to that version. But people aren't characters in the show. They grow, they shift, they question themselves. Kai stepping back to work on himself is actually a positive sign. It means he's thinking long term. It means he doesn't want burnout to define his career. It means he wants control over his narrative instead of reacting to it. There's also something powerful about a young creator realizing early that fame alone isn't enough. Money isn't enough. Views aren't enough. Building something meaningful, that's different. So no, Kai Cenat hasn't stopped streaming forever. He hasn't disappeared because he failed. He hasn't gone quiet because he's done. He's in a transition phase, a building phase, a refinement phase. He's choosing growth over noise. He's choosing legacy over momentary hype. He's choosing to understand himself outside of a live chat scrolling at 100 miles per hour. And honestly, that might be the smartest move of his entire career. He comes back consistently, and he will. It'll likely won't be the same energy recycled. It'll be someone who took time to sharpen his vision. Someone who built the brain from the ground up. Someone who learned overseas. Someone who understands discipline and identity beyond streaming. This isn't the end of Kai's story. It's a chapter where the entertainer becomes an entrepreneur. The streamer becomes a brain. And the loud personality shows that behind the chaos, there's intention. So if you made it into this video, the real message isn't Kai quitting. The real message is that Kai is evolving, he's working on himself mentally, he's expanding creativity, and he traveled to Italy to study and build. He's launching a brand that represents growth, and he's stepping into a version of himself that's bigger than just going live.